Ever wondered why some games, despite a strong early game, fall apart in the mid game? In today's video, we will break down the crucial decisions you need to make to convert your early lead into a decisive victory. When to group with your teammates, how do you handle situations when your mid laner does not agree with swapping, and which lane to go when you're too worried that your teammates are actually gonna fight and die while you are farming and chilling on the sideline. So let's take a look at this. Tip number 1. Group with your teammates when you are strong. If you group too early on mid lane, then you will waste your time. You group too late and the game is already over. You need to find the perfect time. What is the perfect time? Well, you need to group mid lane based on the following points. 1. Overall tower state. Usually after you take the first tower of bot lane, you want to group on mid lane. Why? Well, think about it. Pay attention to this situation. It's very simple. I play AD carry, bot lane, master tier. Main account, this is me. Okay? We go to bot lane, we take the tower. It is very simple. The moment we take the tower, it is very easy to go to mid lane. Why? Well, again, think about it. So this is what LEC coaches say, that it's a deep push. What does a deep push mean? Well, so right now, after I take the tower, I just group to mid lane. The reason why it's a deep push is because it actually pushes in the second tower. So this gives me a lot of time to actually go to the mid lane. The enemy carry has to respond to this wave and I can immediately go to mid lane. So what I will do, this time I have to spend 2 minutes. I'm gonna group mid lane, I'm gonna stay mid lane, and then I'm gonna play for the Herald. Right now, the enemy Silas that actually went to bot lane, he needs to push this wave, and I am actually right now considering to go back to bot lane. In solo queue, obviously, you should always pay attention to the side lane. If you group mid lane, you should not stay there and keep staying there. If your mid lane is gonna go bot, which of course is the optimal play, especially if he has TP or is a side laner like a Zed. But if it doesn't do it, then consider grouping back to bot lane and catching that wave. Now I'm staying mid lane and we see that Talon is actually responding to the wave, so I don't need to go to bot. So this is why you should group mid lane after getting the tower, because the fact that you get the first tower gives you this deep push, and this deep push gives you a lot of room, a lot of space, a lot of time that you have free. It's called tempo, that you can actually use on mid lane to do whatever you want, to fight, to help your teammate. And then if you want to go back to bot lane to farm the wave because your mid laner doesn't agree with swapping, yes, then you can go back to bot lane. If not, then he will go bot lane and you will stay mid. Hey besides, but what if I cannot get the tower? Then you play bot lane until you get it. There are some situations when you're not able to get it. Pay attention to the screen right now. I lost my tower and right now I want to play for the bot tower. Typically, I don't want to group mid lane because mid lane, people like Katarina level 12, 4 levels up on me will be there. So what I want to do is that I want to play for the bot lane tower. So I'm going to stay bot lane until I'm going to become strong or until I'm going to get the tower. But there are some situations, as I said, that you can't really get the tower. What do you do in that case? Well, in this one, there is Briar and there is Katarina that is coming to bot lane. So what I do, I push this wave because I know it's safe. And after I push this wave, I immediately go back to mid lane. Again, in a situation where I see Briar on mid or they have no assassins and I can freely push bot lane, obviously I would do it and I would just keep pushing. I would just keep going bot lane to take the tower. So right now I can't do it. So what I do is that I hover to mid lane, I try to make a play, catch a wave mid lane, and then now, guess what? After I take this wave, I'm paying attention to Katarina pushing. So if my Victor is, let's say, this is a master tier game, so people are good, they actually respond to the calls. So Victor goes bot lane, he has TP, that's optimal. But if he doesn't agree because I'm playing gold or emerald or whatever, what I'm gonna do is that exactly the same rotation I will do. And then when I see Katarina pushing this last wave of bot lane and I see that she's pretty close to tower, I'll take this wave mid lane and immediately go super short way and take that wave. Usually you're not actually mandatory to catch side lane waves. Usually top laners that have TP or mid laners should go there, but if you're forced to do it, then you can. Don't forget your waves in the mid game. If you go to mid lane because whatever reason, let's say you die like this and you want to go to mid lane right away, pay attention to the side lane waves as well. This side lane wave is actually coming into me. I moved towards mid lane because I ulted, but then I immediately go to the side lane waves. And after the Baron is spawned, it is very important to not spend too much time on the side lane because your teammates can actually fight there, and obviously enemy team can actually get vision there and you lose the Baron. So right now, what you can see is that I took the wave and then I immediately go to mid lane because there is Baron as the objective. Usually I would push one more wave, but since there is a assassin, Diego, and Riven with Ignite that could be in the brush, I am immediately going mid lane and I'm hovering my team. actually looking at side waves and checking them before you group to mid lane is a very crucial thing to do as an AD carry main. Second of all, you need to pay attention to the current state of your lane in comparison with the enemies. For example, if you are 0-2 and you want to go mid lane and enemy mid lane is 4-0, you can actually consider spending more time on the side lane, farming in order to actually get some decent power spike before grouping mid lane. No, there is no deadline when it comes to grouping mid lane. Oh man, I'm gonna group them at like 2 items and a half. It's like, yes, in general, you need minimum an item and a half, ideally 2. But this is gonna depend on the champion that you play. For example, a Twitch that has 1 item, Bork, is very strong compared to an Ezreal that has 1 item. Usually Ezreal power spikes is 2 items, and Twitch power spike at 1 item, he can already be pretty useful on mid lane. So the power spikes is just very fluctuating and there is no specific deadline. So you want to make sure you group when you are decently strong. You want to play for objective control, Drake, Grubs, Herald, but we're gonna see if you should actually go group for the Grubs in lower elo in general. In the first example, we saw the simple basic example where you take the bot lane wave, and after you take the tower, what's going to end up happening is that you try to go mid lane and convert the lead. Your mid lane is going to go bot lane, very simple, and you will stay mid lane to play around your jungle. Simple, right? The second example is when you are not that strong, when you're losing, when everyone is very strong. Pay attention to the example that I'm going to show you on the screen. The Caitlyn is taking the bot tower, and if I really want to press tab right here, the Katarina has 5 kills, I have only 2 kills, she's level 10, I am level 8, she's gonna be about to be level 11 very soon, and I'm level 8. I do not want to group in this case because she's extremely strong. I'm 2-1, but compared to a Katarina that is 2 levels up on me, slowly being 3 levels up on me, I will consider pushing bot lane a little bit more. So what I do here is simply I stay bot lane, I try to stay a little bit more than usual. Right now I'm pushing, but I do not want to die, so what I'm gonna do is that I'm pushing this last wave, and since I don't have any specific information on the map about the Katarina or Briar, I'm gonna go path towards mid lane. So what I do right here, I path towards mid lane and I pay attention to my bot wave, and when this Katarina will push the last wave, like basically this exact point of view, when she's bot lane, I'm thinking, okay, should I go to bot lane? And right now I'm taking this wave, and then after I'm taking this wave, I usually want to go to bot lane. Why didn't I go bot lane immediately? Because I saw the Victor is actually pinging, he has TP. Of course, in low elo that won't usually happen. In low elo you go mid, you're gonna ping Victor, he won't go, and if he doesn't go after pinging, then you can go there as well. So I will spend a little bit more time on the side lane to get strong. If I am right there with the Katarina, then at least she's not in the fight. Then if she's not in the fight, in a situation when she's actually a lot stronger than me, if I am bot lane, even if I die, my team has a small chance to win the 4v4, plus diving into the second tower is pretty uncommon usually, because you can just back off, she's not really gonna get the tower, so it's kind of simple for you to not get dove. You let your teammates make a play mid. For this Ashe, I play Ashe, so I'm gonna send the ultimate bot lane. So this is pretty reliable call. If you go mid lane and you play against Briar and Katarina rotates, you're gonna get sandwiched by a lot of people, especially in a situation without peel. Pay attention to the next example. This is a low MMR game, right? So we're playing CV right here, and let's see what's going to end up happening. So if we actually speed up run until she gets the tower, let's see what she's going to do. So first of all, she will get the tower pretty soon. Not only that she got the tower, so right now she just wants to recall, right? She got the tower, right here she should reset, she pushes the wave and she should reset. She's gonna keep staying and she's gonna keep looking to go. Listen is here, so it was not a big deal. Usually pushing for the second tower is a big mistake because there is so many teleports that can come from behind. There is so much flanking angle when you're actually pushing for the second tower. So unless you have 3 to 4 people on the bot lane pushing for the second tower is not only low value, but it's also pretty far from the main objective, which is Herald and Baron Nashor later on. So pushing bot lane is extremely greedy, and as we can see right here, this guy stayed and didn't recall, and stayed, and he just wanted to be mid lane. Ahri should have gone bot lane. You want to wave clear mid, get push and play for the Herald, play for the Drake, but be in mid lane because you're safe, you're severe, you have decent power spike. He kept staying, and now he did not pay attention to his wave state. Obviously he should go mid here. The wave bot is too far. He goes mid, even though Ahri takes the wave. Ahri will go bot lane after, and then at least he will stay around Lee Sin, around his jungle, which that's what you want to do on AD carry in the later stages. He's going to keep staying and doing stupid calls, taking camps. He's not going to be with his teammates, and The coincidence is that Ahri will try to play bot lane, which is obviously bad. Should play around the mid lane. We should try to play around tier 1. We should play around catch. We have a good composition for the catch. And we can see that this is why we're losing mid tower. So this is not very worth it, especially because they are very behind. They have bounties. So it's not very good. So pay attention to this late grouping and what it actually did. This game should never be 27 minutes. This should be like 24, 23 minutes game if the CV was actually grouping. And we can see what she's doing right now is just, she's not staying mid. She just goes top. She just tries to play with the side lane. 1, you never try to play for tier 2 unless like minimum 3 to 4 members are there. 2, you never try to play around your bot. Like if you have a top lane like Yorick or Jax or Volibear that wants to pressure the tower, the worst thing one AD carry you can do is playing with him because you're very squishy. So when they are gonna 5-man him, then they can actually just kill you instead. So this is why it's better to stay mid lane with your teammates. Also, grouping very early is even worse, because if you're grouping super early, like let's say you are in this game and you're grouping before you're actually taking the tower, when you're gonna go mid lane, you're gonna be up against someone that is, look, almost level 9, this guy, and you are level 7 on Sivir, right? So grouping before the tower is gone is a little bit greedy unless you're super strong, or unless you know jungle will play around you, which is not gonna happen in low elo very much. And obviously you can also group mid lane a little bit earlier, a little bit before the tower is gone, if the enemy mid laner is like super behind, let's say 0-3, and you are very ahead, let's say you're 2-0. Those are like the only situations when you should actually group super early mid lane. But grouping early or grouping late, as you guys can see, before the tower is too early usually, and after the tower is usually optimal to go to the mid lane. If you truly want to get better in this game and you want to improve and you struggle with the macro and the decision making in the mid game, check out my coaching session. Take a look at this. So this guy got from Platinum 3 to Diamond 4 with the coaching session. This guy got from Silver to Emerald with the coaching session. We have see here people that got in a month from Silver to Emerald with 2 hours of coaching session. So if you truly want to get better, if you truly want to see the real mistakes that are holding you back, and you feel like you're watching so many videos, you know so much information, but it just doesn't work for you, you can't apply it, you keep doing the same mistakes, you're inconsistent, you're autopilot, go ahead to bizarre.com, guys, book your coaching session. You can see on the screen that it is gonna work for you as well. Gold 1, just hit Emerald. This was basically 2 weeks. In 2 weeks he got this rank. So if you really want to get better, check out my coaching session in the description. Go ahead to bizarre.com, guys, book your coaching session if you truly want to get better in this game. The question I get a lot is, what do I do if my mid lane does not want to group on the bot lane, does not want to go on the bot lane? So the first thing that you should do is obviously go into the bot lane. You should pay attention to the bot wave, and right now you should ping him. Usually I like to ping his head and then I like to ping bot lane. If you see that he keeps staying on the mid lane, so for example in this case, let's assume that he's actually staying with you for the wave, I would ping him again to go to bot lane. And if I see that we're actually sharing half of the wave, like half of the wave to one wave, if I see that he's still the intention of him is still to not go bot lane, then after I share like half of the wave, then I just go bot lane myself. So if he doesn't want to move, then it's no problem. You can share a little bit of XP, tell him that, hey bro, you really need to group, and if he really doesn't want it, then go adapt, no problem. He's probably not very sure on how to make these rotations. Go to bot lane, try to take the farm, and after that, of course, you push the wave, you go back to mid lane anyways, and you hover and you ask him to go bot lane again and do the same thing. Ask him very nicely, don't force ping him, but like let him know that he should be going on the bot lane. Obviously, when it comes to you have a champion like Kassadin, or you have a champion that is really strong on the side lane, there is a chance that he's gonna want to be bot lane before you can actually go to mid lane. That's fine. If he's very strong, you should follow him. If he's 6-0 and you're 0-2 or you're 2-0, he is stronger than you. So if he wants to go bot lane, just let him to go bot lane, because he's a strong side lane champion. It's really important to play around that. And obviously, if he's very strong, he makes the decisions, right? He can make the decisions. He can control the game. The next tips that I want to give you are very important and very fast. So let's go speed run through it. Second tip, where to group. Avoid top lane group and avoid you grouping for the voidlings. Usually this is going to be a very nice thing to do if you know your jungle is going to be there, you know your teammates are going to play around you. But in solo queue, very often you're going to go top lane, you're 1 level or 2 levels down anyways when you go top lane for grubs, and then you're going to lose a lot of waves on the bot lane. So the best case scenario is you need to group on the mid lane after you get the tower, so you do the deep push. If you don't do the deep push and you go for the grubs, it's actually quite bad. Like, think about it, you go for the grubs. If your Elise or if your jungle is gonna play around you, it's good, you know, maybe you're gonna get something happen there. But if he's not really gonna play around you, it's gonna be very, very bad, because you'll most likely just die and you're gonna lose XP and farm on the bottom side. The next thing is thinking about the side lanes. If you're super forced to go on the side lane, you can as an AD carry as well, but it is not your responsibility. So right now they fought mid lane and I died on Ezreal. I immediately go towards bot lane. Why do I go towards bot lane? It's very simple. It's because Riven is there pushing. If the Sion was going there, I always prefer Sion to be there, but since he's mid lane, he's fighting, I'm actually gonna go and catch side lane wave. Until when? Well, there is Baron, so the worst thing that I can do right now is spend too much time on the side lane. So what I do is that I push this, I chase a little bit to stop the recall. I see that they have 2 people dead, so I'm gonna push one more wave before I go for the Baron, and after that I'm going to go to mid lane. So I knew how much time I actually have to spend on side lane, and I knew that I really need to be on the side lane in that specific case. If the Sion could have gone right there, I usually do not want to go on side lane, as I'm gonna be 2 to 3 levels up down on the enemy side laner. Same thing here as well. Everyone is pushing mid lane. I really need to be mid lane in general, but top lane wave is really, really big. The wave is close to me and the fight is very far. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna push this wave as fast as humanly possible, and since I can't really make that in time, I'm gonna try to path, but I'm gonna catch the wave on the side lane. So situations like this, you can always stay on the side lane. Pay attention to this example, okay? So this guy is 3-2. He's really, really strong on Dr. Mundo. He's level 10. He's about to be level 11 very, very soon. We have a Caitlyn that is level 9, okay? So what's gonna happen, Caitlyn is gonna recall and the top lane is gonna die. Where is Caitlyn gonna go? So right now, you could say that she's forced to go to top lane. The problem is that the teammates are bot lane. The objective is the Herald, and if she goes top lane, not only that she can get dove very, very easy, but she's most likely going to be isolated from the mid lane and from the mid tower. So what she's gonna do is that he's gonna go towards the mid lane. Of course, right here we see that the Jace has TP, and she knows that they don't really have actually enough damage to take this tower. She knows that she's diveable, so she'll go mid lane and she will get mid tower. So you see what I'm saying when I say don't, right? This is, by the way, challenger actually gameplay. It's super high elo. Obviously, if the trash wasn't there and the Caitlyn knows that she doesn't get dove, it's actually fine to actually go take the wave. You can push another one and then you can go mid lane after, or just take the wave from the tower and go mid right away if the enemy top lane is very, very strong. But what I want to say is that you need to avoid being on top lane and avoid being on the side lane if the chances of you dying there is very high, and there is an alternative play like this one. The next tip is knowing how to use your blue trinkets. It's very important to use the blue trinkets in the later stages, just because the vision is going to help you to make the rotations better. So let's say I'm level 9, obviously I'm going to go mid lane, and let's say I have blue trinket. What are the best places to do? So usually if you're pretty behind, you want to actually look at your tower. So let's say I have this tower. Usually if I have this tower, that means I can put them pretty deep. The worst blue trinket spots is the one when they can actually take it very, very fast. So for example, if I take blue trinket right here and I put it here, it's actually quite easy for them to like see it. So there are a few ways that you can use the blue trinket. First of all, you can use the blue trinket to check the people. So if you're not actually sure where they are and you want to face check with your team, just put it like close so you can actually have good space. Second of all, you can put the blue trinket as you're fighting on the mid lane. You can put the blue trinket behind you so you can see if someone is actually flanking you or going on you in lower elo. That can happen if you're playing against assassin, but usually it's not going to happen. And the one that I actually like to use the most is the permanent vision. Permanent vision is I like to put the blue trinket where it's going to stay for a really, really, really long period of time, which is basically from this side. It's around Baron, of course. This is a pretty decent brush, but this is better, and I also put it on the edge like this. This is a really, really good brush. This is actually pretty easy to take. This is decent as well, and this is okay as well. But this one is my most favorite, and this one is also nice because they don't really check these two brushes in general, right? So there is that. Okay, if the Drake is objective, then obviously getting banana brush is really good, but since they can take it very easy, this brush is really, really, really good. This brush is really, really, really good, and you can also put in this brush is actually very good, excellent, I would say, because they don't really face check usually. This one is decent as well, just if someone is gonna rotate from a bot lane. And then you also have the tri brush, but the best I would say in this case is this one and this one right here. Quite good brushes. Of course, if you're on the other side, same thing. The best is this brush. If you're playing around Baron, this brush is also nice, this brush is also nice, and this is decent as well right there. If you're playing for the Drake, this is a really, really good brush right here. You're putting it like this. like on the edge like here, so you can have value in this angle and this pocket, right? This is a decent word. This is like a pretty easy word to take. It is okay, but it's not better than this one. And you can also put this one, but the best one being this one. Just very, very, very good. The next thing that I need to know is how much time you have to move in between lanes based on the waves that are coming into you. So pay attention to this example right now. I'm going mid lane, I'm sending the Nafari going to bot lane, okay? This Syndra is pushing, so I'm just going mid lane to catch the wave. After I catch the wave, I see my teammates are grouping for the Drake, and I start the Drake. The moment I start the Drake, I pay attention to my wave. Right now, I should theoretically go back to mid lane, but since no one is pushing at this point in time, I can stay how much I want for the Drake. I can always come back to mid lane when the wave is coming into me. So what I do right now is just to stay. I stay, but at this exact point, I actually check that Syndra is going there, and I know that Syndra wave clear is quite big, quite fast, quite precise. So what I do right here is that I stay for the Drake. I don't go for the mid lane. I wouldn't go for the mid lane. I would just stay here. But the moment I see Syndra is pushing and there is not a reliable fight here, Vayne is just moving towards top lane. We saw enemy jungle on top lane. I know that I need to go catch this wave, and I know I need to just play for the wave. So what did I know there? Well, I always paid attention to the wave that is coming, and I paid attention to see who is pushing that and when are they pushing, because the moment they are pushing, I should try to be back into the mid lane to catch that wave. Of course, if there was a fight on the Drake, I wouldn't even go to mid lane. I would prioritize the fight, win the fight. But in this case, I understood very well how much time I have to rotate back to mid lane. Same thing in this example. I go to mid lane and they don't have tower, right? This is very important to know. They don't have tier 1 and tier 2. So when I push this wave mid lane, I have a lot of time. How much time do I have to come back to mid lane? Well, a lot. What do I mean by that? Well, if someone is gonna go mid lane, let's say the enemy mid lane is here or enemy AD carry, she will need to push that wave right here. So I have basically from here, the wave is gonna be in the middle lane like 15 seconds. Plus it's gonna take like around 5 seconds for them to push, because it's pretty fast now at level 11, so 5 seconds. But the wave also needs to go into the tower, so it's going to be an additional 5 seconds, and that's 25 seconds total. So I have like 15 to 20 seconds to move, and I need to be back to mid lane ideally in maximum 20 seconds. So I'm going to be there before the wave crashes. So this is because I'm paying attention to the next wave, and I'm seeing how deep that wave is going to be pushed and how much time it takes for them to actually push that. And right here, I go to top lane. No one is actually pushing on the mid lane. And obviously, we do have that push, but I can't understand truly how much time I have to move back to mid lane. And now I'm moved back to mid lane. This was not like a pressure wave. No one was pressuring us. It's just the fight was over top lane and I moved towards mid lane. So this is a very important skill, to move in between lanes after the push and understand how much time you have, you know, to go back to the mid lane. The next skill is syncing the recall with your teammates and being 45 seconds before the objective spawns at the objective so you can get vision. Pay attention to what I do right now. So obviously right now I'm gonna take the Baron with my teammates, and this is really, really good. We should all recall at the same time, because we are gonna be trying to play 1-3-1 or 4-0-1 depending on the composition. We wanna be mid lane and want to push. So pay attention to this mistake that I'm doing right now. I'm going top lane, right? So right now, after I'm pushing this wave, I need to recall. The problem is Gragas is gonna be there. He's gonna transition into bot lane. Graves is gonna be there. Millie is gonna be there. They're gonna be on the fast push. Let me pressure. Let me do this. So it's a tempo. I should have just synced the recall with my teammates, and I should tempo recall right there, because it's very important, especially in the late game, to be with the teammates. I made this mistake right here, and this could cost me. This could cost me a lot, because they might just fight. Right now, Graves is actually taking his camp right now, so he's not like immediately pressuring, but this can be a mistake if, you know, they're fighting on mid lane and you're not there. The reason why I stayed is because I needed just 100 more gold to get my Bloodthirster, which is a big power spike. So in this specific case, I had a real reason to not sync the recalls. But in general, syncing the recalls after an objective, especially in the later stages, is very, very important. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something in this video. Let me know if you learned. Let me know what kind of videos you would like to see after. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to actually see more videos from this channel. And obviously, if you want to get better, check out the coaching session, guys, in the description.